Archbishop Vigano was right about Donald Trump.
Saying about it tonight. Natalie.
The former president was in New York when this all unfolded. Early this morning, he was spotted leaving Trump Tower after the raid. He released a statement saying that his Palm Beach home was, quote, under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. He did not detail why the raid might have taken place, only calling it an act of, quote, political persecution and an attack by radical left Democrats who don't want him to run in 2024. Take a look at these.
You might remember, in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election, Archbishop Vigano wrote a series of letters, very strong letters, laying out why he believed that it was imperative for Catholics to support Donald Trump.
Final words by Vigano, then we'll close out. And yet, in the midst of this bleak picture, apparently unstoppable advance of the invisible enemy, an element of hope emerges. The adversary does not know how to love, and it does not understand that it's not enough to assure a universal income or to cancel mortgages in order to subjugate the masses and convince them to be branded like cattle. Great imagery, Your Excellency. This people, which for too long has endured the abuses of a hateful and tyrannical power, is rediscovering that it has a soul. It is understanding that it is not willing to exchange its freedom for the homogenization and cancelization of its identity. It is the beginning to understand the value of a familial and societal ties, of the bonds of faith and culture that unite honest people. The Great Reset is destined to fail because those who planned it do not understand that there are still people ready to take to the streets to defend their rights, to protect their loved ones, to give a future to their children and grandchildren. The leveling inhumanity of the globalist project will shatter miserably in the face of the firm and courageous opposition of the children of light. The enemy has Satan on his side. He who only knows how to hate. But on our side, we have the Almighty Lord, the God of armies arrayed for battle, and the most holy Virgin, who will crush the head of the ancient serpent. If God is for us, who can be against us? Mr. President, you are well aware that in this crucial hour, the United States of America is considered the defending wall against which the war declared by the advocates of globalism have been unleashed. Place your trust in the Lord. Strengthened by the words of the Apostle Paul, I can do all things in him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. To be an instrument of divine providence is a great responsibility for which you will certainly receive all the graces of state that you need, since they are being fervently implored for you by the many people who support you with their prayers. With this heavenly hope and the assurance of my prayer for you, for the First Lady, and for your collaborators, with all my heart I send you my blessing. God bless the United States of America. Carlo Maria Vigano, titular Archbishop of Opiana, former Apostolic Nuncio of the United States of America. Here endeth the epistle of Archbishop Carlo Maria.
Now, at the time, it seemed like the most reasonable position. It was obvious that Trump was the sort of populist leader who, despite all his flaws, would offer a useful solution, at least in a political perspective, for not just Catholics, but sane people of goodwill in the United States. And of course, the international repercussions of that would be felt by all patriots around the world. Those of us outside of the United States were rooting for Donald Trump, and it was quite a tragic loss, dubious circumstances to say the least, when the election was all said and done at the end of 2020. Bishop Vigano wrote very strong letters, making very extraordinary claims. Things like, and I'll paraphrase here, but, if Donald Trump loses, this may be the end of American civilization. And he got a lot of criticisms for that after Donald Trump lost. And lo and behold, the sun was still rising and the United States was still standing. But I think Bishop Vigano was right. Whatever it is about Donald Trump that people enjoy, you don't have to think that he's Saint Donald Trump. You don't have to pretend that he's some sort of great Christian. He's just Donald Trump. He's a populist. He's a salesman. He's a real estate guy. He's a reality TV star. But there's something about his interior political compass where whatever it is, he knows how to tick off the right people. Whatever you might think about him as a person, for some reason, the deep state is really obsessed with bringing down Donald Trump. And a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine would say, well, Donald Trump was just a flash in the pan. He's just a member of the deep state. Look, here's pictures of him with this celebrity, that celebrity. He probably went to Epstein Island, whatever. And they would say, Donald Trump is just sort of he was a sacrificial offering that the globalists gave us. Well, I guess it's always possible to say there's a psyop everywhere, without proof, and I guess people do that a lot. But if Donald Trump was just this, sacrificial offering by the globalists, someone that they tolerated that the American patriots could have for a time to make them happy or something like that, then why would they be doing unprecedented things like going after his personal residence with the FBI? Now, I know critics of mine and critics of those who support Donald Trump would say, well, that's all part of the plan. At some point, everybody starts sounding like QAnon, to be honest. But in any case, there's something about Donald Trump that the globalists just can't stand. And as the old expression goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Whatever you might think about Donald Trump seems to be an enemy of the globalists. He seems to be an enemy of the left. Is there anyone on earth that upsets the leftists more than Donald Trump, even to this day? I'm living in Canada. We don't even live in the United States of America. Donald Trump is a non-entity politically in this country. But if you walk down the street and, you say, hey, who's to blame for the Canadian economy? Donald Trump or Justin Trudeau? They'd probably say Trump and sprinkle a little Putin in there for good measure. There is something about Donald Trump that people can't stand, especially leftists. I remember in 2016 when he won the election, I was a teacher in an Ontario Catholic school system, and our teacher newsletter that comes out once a month talked about teaching in the age of Trump. Here we are teaching in Ontario, Canada, and our newsletter was so concerned with telling us how to teach in the age of Trump. And why would this organization put out this newsletter? Because this was a leftist organization. Leftists hate Donald Trump, and leftists love globalists. This is why I believe Archbishop Vigano was right about Donald Trump. Perhaps one might argue that Vigano put too much stock into the American election itself. Well, that's neither here nor there. To be fair, Bishop Vigano actually had a lot of experience in the Washington political scene, being an American nuncio, so I think he would know more than the average talking head on the radio or on YouTube. But Vigano was exactly correct that the 2020 election and the fallout therefrom has represented sort of something like you see in Scripture when Christ talks about separating the sheep from the goat. There is something about the age that we live in where it's a matter of separating those who are sane and want to live in a society that is based on natural law principles. Obviously, there are differences on that side, and those need to be worked out. But as a baseline, those who want to live by natural law principles. And on the other side, we have this leftist, woke, Marxist insanity, where reality is completely turned on its head, and it is extremely diabolical. Bishop Vigano was correct in his support for Donald Trump. It's going to be interesting going forward. I suspect that Donald Trump will still run in 2024, but it's being said by a lot of astute political commentators, men like Michael Knowles, saying that they're just not going to let Donald Trump win. And maybe that's true. But in my view, that still confirms that Bishop Vigano was correct in 2020 when he talked about Donald Trump being sort of a stopgap against a total tyrannical globalist takeover in the most powerful nation on earth. So whatever you think about Donald Trump, whatever you think about Bishop Vigano's letters, I think the fact that the FBI is being mobilized to come after a former president of the United States is further proof that the globalists just can't stand Donald Trump. And it needs to, you should probably wonder why that is. And even if you don't love Trump and if you think Vigano was a little bit too brazen, there's something to be said, as I said, about the enemy of my enemy being my friend. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, visit the links in the description to help us continue to grow in this endeavor of ours. You can buy my books. You can click the links for those in the comments to this video. This has been the Kennedy Report. Until next time, God bless.